Oh, good. I'm live. So it is one of those days. It's one of those days I really could have used not getting out of bed. And I feel like I look so different today. So I'm going to wait and let a little few people get on, but I don't know, not wait that long. I am in the house from my favorite window. I don't know if you can see much of a lot of construction work, isn't it? I haven't decided if I want to turn it around. I could go from this window. Oh, I kind of like that. And so you see my beautiful steps, and I can enjoy visiting with all of you. So I don't even have my glasses on. And it's like, it's already 10 o'clock and getting moving. So good morning, good morning. So I wanted to do an update on where we stand with homeschooling at this point and just a few other things in life. So right now, so up until November, I had homeschooled for 10 years with 6 kids. And I'd been fighting burnout for a long time, building this house and dealing with the just life of just sometimes what life brings you. And in November, I decided to try all the kids in school. And some of it was very successful and some of it was not so successful. So by January, in December, we ended up with the flu the whole month. I missed a ton of school. And then by January, my fourth grader came out and my freshman came out. My high school freshman came out of school. And it just wasn't a good fit. So now I have 2 in elementary school, VPK and kindergarten. I have 2 in middle school, 8th grade and 6th grade. And I have 2 at home. So in my mind, it felt reasonable to bring 2 home. It won't be overwhelming. When in fact, bringing the 2 home just spreaded me back out very thin. Now, does that make me want to change things? No. What I've found is and I'm so sorry to be very slow because I'm still learning to formulate these thoughts and ideas. My 8th grader loves the competition. Good morning. He loves trying to get it in first. He's got a little pack of boys that he enjoys and he wants to get it in and he wants to, he wants to keep up and he really enjoys that. We had a lot of struggles coming up. And some of the struggles we had dealing with homeschooling with that one child is he wasn't always interested in doing his work. He wasn't interested in applying himself at all. He just kind of would go through the motions. And what I found is him being at school, he is applying himself. Well, thank you for being thankful for my openness. That actually is really encouraging. Because sometimes I get on here and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And I get so grilled and hammered. Well, my son needs help. Oh, man. Really? Hold on. I'll have to get back with her. So my son needs help, and he needs academic help. And I have a hard time. Everybody at 4 o'clock is like when everybody gets home, everybody's home, and it's just like, they're all calling me. I'm on the phone. I'm on with you, and they're calling. I love them, but they're calling. So I know he needs help, and I'm trying to figure out, like, can I help him? Do I have enough time to help him? How do I help him? And that's been rough. I've been looking at, like, maybe doing Sylvan Learning Center. I did that when I was a kid. That helped me. But there isn't one that's within an hour of here. More than an hour. So that's not reasonable. There's some tutors in town, but they really focus on elementary school kids, not middle school. So I really need to get him help. Now, the one thing is for certain, he's ADHD, and the stuff he's struggling with is the stuff I struggled with. Staying focused, engaging as you're working. I had the worst time with that when I was in school. And when I remember coming home, and I told him this. I remember opening my book, being home alone, opening my book, trying to do my schoolwork, and I couldn't make it happen. I would read it, and I wasn't catching every word. And I mean, this was middle school. This was middle school, even in high school. And I would read it, and I couldn't catch every word, and I couldn't answer the questions. I couldn't even figure out where to find the information when I read the questions. Just really having a hard time. And I'm watching the same struggle. And I know he's trying, and he's much better off than I was. I think I've done a lot of work to help him on that, but he still needs help. So I'm trying to figure that out. Some of it's focus issues, some of it's reading comprehension issues, some of it's writing, because I always had the handwriting issue. But then actually formulating thoughts into written context. He seems to be like blasted math just fine. So and the thing that he needs the most help with is accountability. So we're trying to figure that out. One of them is like making him do his work with my husband. So he's doing great. My 6th grader has been doing phenomenal. She loves it. I mean, I don't know if she loves it. She talks about coming home. She's like, I don't like going to school, but I like being at school. I like the teachers. I like the camaraderie. She goes, I like the encouragement I get from so many people. And just feeling like I have so many people to go to. She likes it. And it's so funny because yet she stays in a tiny little circle at school. She's not very social. My son, my oldest one, is very social. He enjoys, good morning. He enjoys being with the people to the point that I'm like, dude, it's not about visiting. It's about learning. Where my daughter's there to learn, she's not so much visiting. She has her core little group of friends, and she's like just killing it. She's just killing it. She finds resources and she studies. And, it's really hard as a mom not to be like to my son, why aren't you more like her? Oh my goodness. That's like probably the kiss of death of momhood is if I said that to him. Why don't you be more like your sister? That's not going to help. So trying to help them out. And, and I won't lie, I miss them terribly. And next year he'll go to high school. Sorry, I'm coughing. He'll go to high school. And then it seems like their fit is in school. I've talked to my 6th grader and I've asked her about next year. We've discussed, good morning. We've discussed, what, if she came home, how would it be? And one of the things, my culture as a homeschool mom, I'm not into grades. I mean, we're going to learn it and we're going to learn it until we learn it. And my daughter told me that she needs the grades. She wants the grades. She wants the due date. She wants the hardcore structure. And I can't maintain that for her. And so I think our compromise has been, she's been doing some testing. They're doing testing. And as much as I want to be like, don't do testing. She's been doing testing and evaluations. And she's testing really high. Very high. So she's like, can I just skip 7th grade? Does this mean I can? I'm like, you can't skip 7th grade. But the idea is we're interested in seeing how they will place her next year. And the decision her and I have finally come to has been to just see the placement and try it for a month. If she doesn't like it after a month, she can do something different. She actually even talked about wanting to set up a private school, my kid. So like rent an office unit stripped. Okay, so this is completely possible, especially if you're in Florida. So this was my daughter's idea. I have a family member who does something kind of this similar. My daughter just wanted to go a little broad, the 6th grader, a little broader in it. She wants to get a storefront unit or an office unit. What did I just do? Let me see. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what I just did. So So what she wants is to get a storefront, get a certified teacher in there, and then think of an AC school, but not AC, where everybody would have their own desk, kind of like a round classroom style, and everybody would do FLVS, and there'd be a teacher in the classroom to make sure they stay on their marks and navigate what they need to navigate, which is an awesome idea, but I don't want to pay for that. But that's what she wants. That's like her perfect situation. And she wants to mark herself against everybody. I don't know if, at what point, but so that was her thoughts and processes. So we kind of agreed she's going to go to school next year, and she's going to do hopefully honors. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll go from there. But that's where she's going to go. My oldest daughter, back in 2000, I did not want to send our oldest out, but I submitted to my husband mostly. We used the Startup University Model School. Oh, yeah, and each child is unique. So my oldest daughter went and did her first ever college interview at the local state college and found out what she needed to do dual enrollment. So she's taking the SAT this next weekend as a ninth grader, and then she is going to take dual enrollment. So we're starting to do a little prep, and it's really funny because as an engineer, my husband's an engineer, I know how to make engineers. I know that sounds like kind of crazy. I know how to make STEM-oriented people, but I don't know how to make other people. And as my daughter's looking at the AA and she sees the humanity classes, she's like, that's what I want to take. Well, there's no room for that if you're doing STEM. So I'm in a different case, and I will admit, because I've been in other counties, that the homeschool liaison was just like, no, thank you. And this homeschool liaison that we have in our county is amazing. It's just so amazing. I love her so much. She has become my friend through the process. And I went to her and I'm like, I need help. I need help now. She's like, for what are you talking? What do you want? I've got no resources. Why do you think you're going to get help from me? I'm like, but you're going to help me. You're going to help me find the resources. And the help I wanted was like a career, maybe aptitude test, or to learn about different careers. So by the next day, I realized I can do it through Florida Virtual School. The virtual school program had a it's like research career and something. I don't know what it is, but it has to do with like learning like what different avenues of careers there are and career options. So Monday, which is funny because it's like the middle of the semester, and it doesn't even matter because you can do this with FLVS. She starts Spanish 1 and she starts the career 1. So she should get half a credit on those two that kind of count as an elective this semester. But so that's kind of the plan. Then in the fall, she'll start taking dual enrollment classes, and hopefully by the time she's done, she'll have an AA, and she will be third-year student wherever she goes in and whatever she does. 3 of our 4 graduated from the University Model, but the last one only went to the university for a few years of high school. Oh, cool. Or the University Model School for a few years. I'm so sorry. The weather keeps changing here, and we're back to having a cool day after having a sweaty hot day, and it's getting my stuff going. Hey, lady, miss you and love hearing what your kids are doing and how they're doing. Mine are all in school now as well. Since last year, homeschool burnout is real, and you're doing great. So that's what she is doing. I've had a hard time, and it's funny because I'm switching through curriculum as always because that's what happens. But we came back and I just said, let's do easy peasy and let's pick up, because she had a half credit in world history and she had another half credit in world history to go. She had a half credit in earth science, so we need another half credit in earth science. English, half credit in English, and so forth. And she got those half credits at the high school using a program called APEX, APEX Learning. And she did it that way, and she got accredited for half of them. Well, we spent 2 months doing easy peasy. And I think the opportunity at Easy Peasy is phenomenal, but it's so deep, and it doesn't have a set, like, these days we're covering this section. I'm sure she does somewhere in the back of her mind, but it just kind of flows into the next thing without having a sense of finish and end. And then some of the stuff is a little too open-ended. Really takes it deep anyways, and doing a lot of the Easy Peasy stuff, instead of spending an hour on it, because I'm literally spend 45 minutes a day in a subject, she would spend 3 to 4 hours because she would dig so deeply. And it was starting to cause this very burnout effect. And in reality, we went very deep, but in world history, we need to cover certain topics, and we weren't moving through topics. Same thing with math, or with science. So I actually pulled a science book, and what I've noticed at the schools, they use a lot of the guided reading workbooks that go with it. So I either Holt or Pearson or McDougall. I think Holt and McDougall are together. I don't know. I found those textbooks, and I've had some of them. I was kind of looking at them earlier. I use those textbooks, and I rip out the section of the study guide, and I staple the section. I'm like, this is your work for the day. And she's actually loving it because she can read it, answer it on the paper, and be able to have everything she needs in a pack of paper. And I'm like, here's your week worth of science. History, I was searching, and if you look, and if you're savvy enough on Google, you can sometimes find the whole PDF. I found a whole PDF of an entire textbook. Now, we don't like the reading on the computer, so why does it sound like somebody's here? That was weird. It felt like somebody was coming down the steps. Huh. Instead of using a text, what I did was I went and printed out like one section or a chapter that I want us to cover in this like week and a half. And I stapled the sections and handed them to her, and then just highlighted the questions I want answered. And I'm like, I don't care where you put them. You can put them on the back of the paper. You can put them on a piece of notebook paper. I don't care. Just answer them that way. So she's been doing that. But next year, she's probably going to do a variety of the virtual school, a variety of the dual enrollment, and whatever we need to fill in around here in our life. But my goal is not to overwhelm her, because that's my natural tendency to do. Like, just want to give her so much. Okay, so that leaves my my kindergartner and my other one. I always get caught up in the complicated curriculum, but finding online stuff is sometimes the way to go. Not so complicated, and just learn it and get it done. Right, and that's I didn't even talk about the fourth grader. That's the thing. I actually went, I could maybe jump on here later today and do like a quick flip through of what I've set up for my daughter. But I went on Apex, and I just literally printed up their coursework, and I'm like, oh, you did the first half, so we need to do the second half. What are the areas you need? Because this is accredited. Here we go. Because I'll get caught up, like, we need to learn a subject in its entirety, like overwhelming entirety. And there's people who dedicate their whole lives for it. There's no way I'm doing it in 180 days, 1 hour a day. So let's just, let me just track myself a little bit better. I've been having a hard time with my fourth grader. So she's home. She's doing an amazing job. Yeah, we get burnt out too. And she is doing an amazing job on her own. I felt like we had some gaps. I'm not really sure where I stand with it. I've been doing a lot of supplementing with IXL.com. So that's kind of where I'm like making sure we're staying grade course. And, I'm just like, I need you to work through it. I'm doing our best. So with my fourth grader, I needed science and history, but I like the ACE method, but I won't lie, the ACE gets very bogged down. Sometimes it's a little too childish. Sometimes it's a little too intense. Sometimes I'm like, where are you going with this? Why are we covering this? And there's no curriculum. That's perfect. I won't lie. There's no curriculum. But I just kind of wanted something easier. I don't know, something easy to implement, to open and go. And one of the things I've I well, I couldn't find it. And I actually went and started looking at Pearson, and I found the My World language social studies. And that was I know a lot of this you're going to be like, wow, you're picking very secular curriculum. That's okay too. It doesn't matter. Just find what works. Um, I went and found that, and it was very, I'm treating it very open and go. I do not have an answer key. I do not care. We're reading the stories and trying to answer the questions, but I'm finding it's, we did it. We read through it together. You know, she read it and answered it. I erased all the answers and said, let's try this again. You aren't paying attention to what we need to do, and making her write in full sentences, you know, because she doesn't like to do that. And underlining the important things and teaching her, and then going back and rereading it together. And it worked out really good. It worked out good. It did. So I have a science one coming too. And I'm trying out Right Source. I've been using the Christian Light Education, but I get bogged down with all the booklets. Very much so. I get bogged down with the booklets. So that's with her. My K4, I've noticed her speech and her enunciation has gone down since going to school, but like she stays ahead of them. She's learned a lot. She's sounding things out. I don't think it's being intentionally taught to her. She's picking it up from being in the classroom. My kindergartner, he's doing so good with his lessons and his sounds, but I get overwhelmed by the amount of homework. And so I'm a little bit at a point of like, I will literally tell you, I've laid out and I said, you know what? I'm bringing them back home next year. That's it. I'm going to bring them back home next year. And then I won't lie, I'm so tired. I mean, I'm a special kind of tired. I looked at Ambleside online, and even my oldest, the whole spreadsheet and so many pieces, it was very not clean cut for her. I know it's probably for some of you very like easy to go with. It just, she wants to open and go. And I know I've got caught into this in the homeschool spectrum is I want the best intents. And sometimes I think we're like college, we're teaching at almost an in-depth college level than what it just needs to be. And I'm kind of leaning more into just what it needs to be. All right. So one of the things I talked to my fourth grader, and what I think I'm going to do with those three is I'm going to put them in my local school system. It is a lower Title I. It has a lot of low grades. It has a lot of and it may or may not work. And what I've decided, I'm going to enroll them. I'm going to put them in. At the end of the month, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I pull them out and we start from there. If it does work, then it's great, and we keep going. But I've decided I'm going to enroll them next year. That was a really hard thought, but I'm going to enroll them and see where it goes. Okay, last night I was like in tears. I'm going to have to just tell you. So like it's kind of homeschool related, but I was in tears. Because, so my daughter shows goats, but this year we didn't show any goats because we were building this and it was too much. We're at the fair right now. We're doing the fair life kind of like 1 foot in because we're just so all over the place. We started with 4 pigs. We only had 1 pig make the fair. I got 2 pigs in my backyard still because they didn't make weight. And I really had my daughter just spend this week because she's not showing. My oldest daughter is showing. So I had her just really evaluate what is she enjoying. Maybe there's an area she likes that she didn't know she liked. Okay. With that said, we were at the goat show last night with a lot of kids that we've been around for a while. And they did the last, I'm going to cry. So our graduating seniors, they brought them in with their animal and just did a goodbye. Thank you so much. Your last time in the ring as a kid. And oh my goodness, this mama was a basket case. Can I just tell you, a basket case? These are not my children. Look, my eyes are already bagging up with tears. And I'm crying before they even get, and like their mamas are laughing at me like, you are just being crazy. I'm like, but that's their last one. And then by the time they're done, they were crying too, so it was fine. But my daughter, it made me really hit, like my daughter has 3 more years, which seems like, but I'm like, you only have 3 more times to get to do what you're doing. Enjoy it before it's gone. And I don't want to overwhelm her with intense things that don't need to be intense, that do not need to be intense. And I want her to be able to enjoy. So she's talking about changing her goat breeding and her goat herd. You know, we're up to 20 right now. She's, how are you doing? Hang in there. Thanks. She's talking about possibly raising beef next year instead of a pig, or doing a pig and a steer, and building a barn in order to accompany that. And I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. You know, and she's having this very intense evaluation on her animal farm. I mean, her farm. It's really her little animal ranch, her goat ranch. And she's like, you know, I have these wonderful animals, but they're a pet. You know, like a lot of times in the show, you know, you're trying to maintain this market level of integrity of a product, and that's why you have these animal shows like goat shows. And she's like, but what are they being used for? Somebody's personal, you know, they're not really being used as an agriculture production. So it put her in the debate on, you know, do I want to show goats like dog breeders show dogs? Or do I want to show goats as evidence of my agriculture production? So I'm like, wow. So one of the things she's been talking about is like, how do I make, and she goes, I don't want to raise meat goats because I don't want to know that they're eating my goats. But one of the things she's talking about is actually becoming a goat milk producer for like soap and lotion and craft makers. Like she would sell them bulk goat milk in order for them, you know, to have what they need. And that would be an easy way for her. So, but that kind of falls in line because I think she's going to try and do FFA next year. And so she'll have to go to high school to do ag, and she'll learn something, or maybe she won't. So how am I doing? Well, we're moving in this house, whether anything is done. I'll give you a quick tour. Something, but it's a lot of just things my husband does. We have all the plumbing done. We have all the plumbing done and set up and ready to go. And we have all the tools. I don't even try to attempt anything in here. We still have baseboards to put up, and I still have to paint. Like I have not painted and like everything's on the porch because this is how we build. I haven't painted this part. Like I painted this part, but not this part on all the windows, and I still have like tons of dust. We had somebody who wanted to come help, and we asked them to clean that. They didn't clean it. They cleaned the floors, they cleaned everything else, but they didn't do. They're like, can we help you? I'm like, one thing we need. They didn't do it. Oh well. So baseboard. So this is my son's room. Both my sons. I have to paint these. You can see they're not the right color. And then I have to put the shelving in for the whole house. None of that's done. And I don't have any medicine cabinets. So see, isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh, do you see how much room there is? I don't have medicine cabinets yet, but all the plumbing works. I just have to trim. I have to do some touch-ups. I found that at Walmart. Of course, it's the Pioneer Woman. I thought it was so cute. So my goal is to hang it up. I think it would turn out so nice. So my daughter's room, there's all the closets. Sorry. Got my washer and dryer in. He's working on putting the doors here so you don't see this. All right, so this is some truth bomb. I wasn't going to share, but I'm going to share. I moved out. I've been crashing in here at night. I love my husband. I love my kids. But I'm sleeping in the house. I've been doing that all week. Because I swear, there's just too much. I can't. And it's been funny because, like, I, it took no, the first night I slept like through the night, but I wake up about 4:30 anyways. Well, by the last 2 mornings, I've slept to my alarm. I've not woken up. So, like, the stress is relieving, which means I have a bathroom, a big, beautiful bathroom. I saw painter's tape up, but I don't even care. So, um, I won't sleep in the other house again. I will never sleep in that house again. I just can't do that to myself. So the goal is by the week after next is the kids' spring break, and we are moving in. Whether things are done or not, it doesn't matter. We are moving in. And that's what my husband said. So that is the plan. I'm moving in. And I'm hoping like stress will just change drastically. Okay. Then the one other edit, because I'm sure you can tell the difference. I've been working, you need a little break doesn't mean you deserted your family. I know, but I like teasing them about it. Well, and they're waiting on their mattresses to get here. So I think their mattresses are coming next week. And as soon as their mattresses are here, they'll be sleeping here. We're just not going to bring the mattresses over and then take the mattresses back. So, sorry, this dumb cough. I haven't had it, but it just came back. And I think it's from being in the barns with the animals in the dust. So I've been working on breaking up with diet culture. Hello from Lincoln, Nebraska. That's so cool. So I've been working at breaking up with diet culture, and I'm going to keep this really short, and then I got to get off here and get to, like, life. I've been trying just to take away the negative and positives of thinking about food. Is this good or is this bad? And just eat sugar. Not going out to seek sugar. I'm not seeking sugar, but I'm not seeking to not have sugar either. And I've been breaking up with aspartame. No Diet Cokes. No sweet and low. No sugar-free syrups. Nothing. And I've been listening to a couple of podcasts. One of my favorite ones is The Lazy Genius. And I was listening to some nutritionists on some other podcast, and they were talking about, at first you'll gain weight because you're figuring it out, and then you'll go to where you need to be. And I keep finding as I try to diet, I keep gaining the weight back plus. After about 6 months, I put it back on plus some. And so what I've decided is I'm going to eat what I want to eat, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and my body is going to meet me where I am. Now, I won't lie. I need to write down a post-it note so I can remind myself of that every day so I don't get discouraged. So I'm not on the scale. I have hopped on the scale, and I'm the largest I've ever been. But at the same time, oh, that's the sound I keep hearing. I'm stepping on something. But hey, girl. And so I'm just along the lines of I want to figure out what that means. And it doesn't mean I'm going to be lazy and eat bonbons. I recently lost 10 pounds and we are about the same size. I've never been able to diet, and I found my problem has been my metabolism. So stop from skipping meals or skipping meals? Well, things I found was that if I actually have a real soda with the sugar, now that I'm actually eating meals, the pounds are coming off right. So if I actually drink a soda with sugar, I can only drink one, and I have to wait before I can drink another one. Otherwise, I'll get sick. And I won't lie, like the first week or two, I would get sick from drinking because I would take in too much. And so then I figured out, like, oh, I can't go to Culver's and eat an ice cream custard and 3 small regular root beers because I'm going to be like, oh, I'm just done. But what has happened is I can share my food. Oh, that's like its own emotional diet culture thing possible. So when I started Weight Watchers for the first time in my life, I counted everything and I had it measured out. And so I wouldn't share and no I wouldn't share my food and I wouldn't let anybody eat off my plate because that's what I could have. And I felt deprived. I mean, literally emotionally just sick to my stomach. And through the 18 years of Weight Watchers or something related to that, as I tried to maintain my weight, I became more and more obsessed with food. And one of the things I was listening to the nutritionist is like, when you're obsessed with food is because you're not being very healthy and you're depriving yourself somewhere. And we're filling ourselves with something we don't really want to eat to try and pretend it's something we do want to eat. And I was like, oh. What I've found is by not using sweet and low, I only have a cup or two of coffee. If I have an artificial sweetener, my body doesn't feel the aftermath of having sugar, even though I had the sweetness. Well, the aftermath of having sugar is your body's like telling you no more, no mas, no mas. But with having sweetener, your body's like more, more, more. And what I'm finding for the first time in 18 years is the ability to monitor, which is pretty cool. Is this kind of self-monitoring. I'm still learning it. But the other side of it is I share with my kids. I share my food. That sounds so weird saying it out loud. But I've noticed that. Like, I'll get something, I'll take a couple bites, and my son's like, ooh, and I'm like, you want the rest? And he's like, yeah, I'll have the rest. I'm like, okay, have the rest. I don't care. And that's something new. It's kind of, I don't know. I noticed my kids are picking up on it because they won't ask to eat anything I'm eating because I knew before I'd be very like, no, I have it all planned out. And I find like I'm sharing treats with them. Like the other night, we got a blizzard because we do that after on Wednesday nights, a skillathon. And when they do this big test, like their knowledge of their animal, we go to Dairy Queen. I got a small blizzard. I ate like that much of it. And I looked at my son. I'm like, you want it? He's like, yeah, I'll take it. Good for you, diet culture breakup. Yes, I learned a lot from Trim Healthy Mama, but I don't stick to frequent feeding rules anymore. Yeah, I'm finding what works, and I'm finding clothes that fit my body, not a fat body, not a skinny body, but what works for Trisha's body. And I'm the heaviest I've ever been. I've gone up. I mean, literally 20 pounds since the middle of January. And I had this thought to myself because I did get on the scale yesterday. And I had this thought to myself. I'm like, I am the heaviest I have ever been in my life. But then I had this other thought to myself. But I'm not the biggest. If we just went from clothing size, I'm wearing a 14. I'm like strong 14, not like a loose 14, a strong 14. I've worn a 14 before in my life. 20 years ago, I wore 14. I'm not the biggest I've ever been. I could be the heaviest because you can't really see. You see the chunkiness, but if you can actually see and feel, I have some like amazing muscles. And it made me kind of realize and fit into the aspect that that scale doesn't really mean anything. So my body is going to naturally become who it needs to be by what I eat and what I do. And what I do should be the pleasure of the life I want to live, not for the clothes I want to wear or the image I want to be. Right? Sounds good to me. So, with that said, I've been really evaluating what's the life I want to live. And I want to walk. I miss walking because walking is very relaxing to me. I haven't really had the time with everything going on in the house and the fair and the kids and everything. So I want to walk. I actually want to do workout videos to get stronger But I want to get stronger. I want to get stronger, not to look fierce, but to play a meaner golf game. I love playing golf. And to play a meaner golf game, and I'm watching, and I'm a little bit nervous because I have a really good friend, and she's got really good form, but she doesn't have a lot of muscle. And she's doing like this fitness workout where she's really busting her butt. And I'm watching, I'm going, she's going to get really strong, and her form and her strength are going to come together, and she's going to crush me. And I'm like, I need to get on that. So I'm thinking to myself, I want to walk because it's relaxing. I want to actually get stronger and get more flexibility so I can play a better golf game. And I want to enjoy what I eat, but I don't go over. But eating real sugar, I'm not going overboard like I once would have, or I thought I would be. And I'm like, whatever that comes together, and whatever that is the superpower body I need to do that job. And that's it. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. It's hard. The imaging, the pictures, you could be this, you could be that. It's hard because I'm a little bit inflamed because I've had late nights and drinking sweet tea. And there's this like really good carny food because I'm at the fair, so it's fair food. I'm not eating fried corn dogs. I've had maybe half of a elephant ear for the whole week. So I think that's pretty amazing. And I'm not really, like, I walk through, I'm like, oh, there's nothing I really want. And I went to Publix and got a sub instead. And I only ate half of it instead of a whole one. So the one I get is this beef tips. These people are amazing. They have like the most amazing setup. So they take these sirloins and they roast them, and then they dice them up. And so you get this bed of mashed potatoes, onions and mushrooms and beef tips. And they do sweet tea. And I haven't drank tea in a long time, and I'm like, oh, good sweet tea is good sweet tea. So my neighbor's probably going to think I'm weird looking out the window like I'm looking at their house, but whatever. So on the sweet tea, anyways, on the beef tips, what I've been doing is I've been buying that and putting a little sauce. But what I've noticed is as I eat that, it gets me really like congested. So there might be something in there. But that's my thing. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on. That's my update. I've got to go and do my stuff and get things done. I hope you're doing well. I guess I'm going to see you on Friday maybe. Because Friday, I don't know. Because that just seems to work. All right, I'm going to talk to you later. Yeah, see you then.